Started saying save the theater.
Yeah.
Why 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
1,
8,
2, 3,
9,
4,
10?
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Three, check 1, 2, 3. Check. Hello, check 1, 2, 3. Check 1, 2, 3. Sorry, it was my.
Live, this is News 8 at 10 on MyTV9.
Good evening, I'm Ann Nyberg.
And I'm Darren Kramer. Some new developments tonight in that Metro North train crash that shut down service for days.
There are some clues as to what may have caused the crash, and the first lawsuit has been filed by a passenger who was badly injured. News 8's Jackie Slater is live at Union Station in New Haven with the latest for us tonight. Jackie?
Elizabeth Sorensen is still listed in critical condition tonight at Bridgeport Hospital. She's already undergone several surgeries. More than 70 people were injured in that train crash last week. But today, Sorensen's attorney was the first to file a lawsuit on her behalf against Metro North, and he says the company needs to be held accountable. Attorney Joel Faxon represents 65-year-old Elizabeth Sorensen of Mystic. Sorensen suffered a brain injury as well as fractures to her legs, arm, and pelvis when two Metro North trains collided last Friday in Bridgeport. Faxon filed a lawsuit in federal court on Friday on Sorensen's behalf.
The family approached us once it was clear to them the severity of our client's injuries and said, look, we're going to take care of the medical aspects of things. We need somebody to do an investigation for us and to make sure that we're taken care of.
While the NTSB is conducting their investigation into what caused the accident, Faxon's firm has hired their own independent investigators to do the same.
We can parallel our investigation with what the NTSB is doing and access information that they can access simultaneously. Because we found in the past that, usually the work of governmental investigators is very good. Sometimes they miss things.
The NTSB announced that initial information obtained from onboard event recorders indicates the eastbound train derailed, came to a stop, and was struck 20 seconds later by the westbound train. In a report issued on Friday, the NTSB said in April, maintenance work was done in the area of the derailment. A joint bar used to join two sections of rail together was cracked. It was repaired by Metro North personnel. The report also stated that the eastbound train engineer informed NTSB investigators that he saw what he described as an unusual condition on the track. Sorensen was traveling on the eastbound train. Faxon says he questions the age of the tracks and wonders if things could have been done to prevent the crash.
You would think with the billions of dollars that are spent by our government for the transportation of people in Connecticut on that line, that you would have a safer product than what's out there now.
The lawsuit claims negligence on the part of Metro North Railroad. It could be 2 years or more before this case goes to trial if both parties are unable to settle. For now, live in New Haven, Jackie Slater, News 8.
All right, Jackie, thanks. Police in Waterbury looking for a hit-and-run driver who put a woman in the hospital. 26-year-old Diana Johnstone, a mother of two, was crossing River Street yesterday morning when she was hit. She's in critical but stable condition at St. Mary's Hospital. Police are asking anyone who may have saw anything to give them a call.
Good evening, I'm meteorologist Erica Martin with the first look at your weather. Our capital city, a little gloomy out there. We do have thick cloud coverage and some more rain on the approach. In fact, I have added the threat of some isolated thunderstorms, especially likely for northern Connecticut between the hours of 2 and 5 a.m. Otherwise, right now, we can go ahead and take a look at our almanac for today. It was a cool day out there, and we will keep it cool because we are on the backside of a cold front. So we topped out at 68 degrees below the average of 74. So for tonight, we're going to keep it in the 40s inland, low 50s for the shoreline with northerlies gusting up to 40 miles per hour. We do have a little bit of an issue there again with the winds tonight and for tomorrow as well. Folks, you can always log on to WXEdge.com for all of your weather updates. Ann and Darren, back to you.
Well, it's probably going to be too cold to take a dip. Allstate Park beaches will be open and all swimming areas are open except for one. Swimming will be off limits at Gay City State Park in Hebron this weekend because tests found higher than normal bacterial levels. The trails and picnic areas will still be open at that park.
Some local kids spent this week pitching in to help the tornado victims in Oklahoma. Students from Amity Middle School and Bethany and Amity High Schools put in long hours after school, sorting through donations, packing boxes, and making signs. Kids collected water, personal items, toys, and supplies for workers. Volunteers say it is a great opportunity to give back.
In the past year, the Northeast has had so many tragedies: Sandy Hook, the hurricane, and the Boston Marathon bombing, and the entire country came to help the Northeast, and we just thought it was the perfect way to pay it forward and help Oklahoma because they lost it all.
We made a bunch of signs to put in the truck saying Connecticut loves you, Amity loves you.
The owners of Fulfillment Works donated the space and some manpower. The kids use social media to get the word out. A 53-foot truck loaded with supplies is headed for a rescue mission in Oklahoma City.
And folks out in Moore, Oklahoma are continuing to clean up, trying to pick through the rubble to see what they can find.
ABC's Marcy Gonzalez shows us how folks there are finding both help and hope.
From crews clearing out the big piles of debris to volunteers salvaging the smallest scraps.
Pictures of two kids, a valuable picture.
Progress is being made in Moore, Oklahoma, far quicker than many here expected.
I'm just sitting here amazed. I can't believe it.
Street lights are going back up and help is getting to those who need it the most.
When they drop off a bottle of water or a hamburger or a bag of chips and it's just there and you can eat it, then the gratitude is overwhelming. That's the great part about it. People who don't even know us, and how will we ever thank them?
Stories of generosity overshadowing the tales of greed. In Moore and Shawnee, the nearby town hit by an EF4 tornado on Sunday, there have been several arrests for looting.
It's kicking somebody when you're down.
But this is a community that refuses to be kept down, showing they will not be defined by all that they've lost, but by all they're picking up together.
I'm glad. I mean, it shows the care and that there are good things going on even in bad situations.
And along with all of the progress we're seeing, there is some other positive news. FEMA says they have already paid out $1.4 million to some of the more than 3,000 people who have filed for federal assistance here. Marcy Gonzalez, ABC News, Moore, Oklahoma.
The governor's moving forward now with a plan to change the Freedom of Information law so the 911 recordings and crime scene photos from Sandy Hook will never be released. But it's raising an important question now. Is it unfair to families of other murder victims? Our chief political correspondent Mark Davis has a follow-up.
Despite mounting criticism, Governor Malloy continues to push for an exemption to the state's Freedom of Information Act that would keep crime scene photos and the 911 recordings from the tragedy at Sandy Hook from ever being released to the public.
I think that there's fairly universal agreement in the state of Connecticut that these families and these children's memories and these teachers deserve a level of protection that should be taken up fairly quickly.
When asked today if keeping this information secret might just continue to foster conspiracy theories running rampant on the internet that Sandy Hook never really happened, the governor dismissed it this way.
They're nuts anyway. Okay.
But there is concern among some that doing this just for the Sandy Hook families would be unfair to all of the other victims of terrible crimes in Connecticut. The state's victim advocate saying, quote, "I do believe that these victims are in need of the proposed protection. However, I also strongly believe that this legislation needs to be expanded to include all crime victims," close quote. That is the kind of change in the FOI law that the state's top prosecutor is looking for.
I'd like to make it not just specific to Newtown. There are a lot of family members of murder victims around the state and over the years who will be very unfortunate to have them subjected to seeing photographs of their loved ones.
Kane also wants to have the discretion now and in the future of not releasing any recordings of someone actually being murdered during the course of a 911 call. And he indicated that one of the Sandy Hook 911 calls could be in that category. The governor and legislative leaders are hoping to get this exemption to the FOI law for the Sandy Hook families on the books within the next 12 days. The final investigative report on the Sandy Hook shooting is expected to be released sometime this summer. From the Hartford Newsroom, Mark Davis, News 8.
Cities and towns that are stepping up school security in the wake of the Newtown shooting could be reimbursed by the state. Governor Malloy announced today that $5 million is available for school districts who are making security changes. That money part of a competitive grant program that was included in the gun control legislation passed last month. At least 2 more $5 million rounds are expected next year. Also announced today, the federal government is giving the Newtown public school system $1.3 million to help recover from that shooting.
Some folks in Hartford are trying to figure out what to do next after their apartment complex was condemned and torn down with all of their belongings still inside. Rescue crews and building officials were called to Putnam Street last night when one of the walls had buckled. The building had been there since the late 1800s. News 8 did some digging and found no major violations to the property in a city file, except a 1956 report showing a first floor ceiling. It collapsed. 6 families are now without a home. The city is helping them find a new place to live.
Things are replaceable, lives are not, and they called it correctly.
Confused, I don't know what is going to happen. I'm like, I don't know, it's too much for me right now.
Officials said the landlord is being cooperative.
New information tonight in the death of a former New Milford police officer who was found guilty in the shooting death of a suspect. The chief medical examiner's office now says 41-year-old Scott Smith died of carbon monoxide poisoning in his home in Danbury. Police say it was a suicide. Smith was convicted in the 1998 shooting death of 19-year-old Franklin Reed. Reed was lying on his stomach when Smith put his foot on his back and shot him. Smith said it was self-defense.
The governor says he'll pull the plug on financial incentives to ESPN if they do not hit their target for creating new jobs. The sports network announced layoffs this week, but is telling the governor's office that they are still growing overall.
They have to create 200 new jobs by a specific date. They are up jobs overall, even with this round of layoffs. But the bottom line is, if they don't create those, then we don't pay them the money.
The governor gave ESPN a $20 million loan and grant deal for the expansion of ESPN in 2011 as part of his First 5 program. And still to come for you tonight.
We know why now. That bridge in Washington State collapsed last night. It is causing a big traffic problem on the West Coast to sever a main artery out there. The good news is everybody survived, even though it was scary for a while last night. We'll show you what's going on there when we come back in less than 2 minutes.
This is News 8 at 10 on MyTV9.
Today, family of a British soldier who was brutally murdered on a busy London street spoke out. London police say Lee Rigby was hacked to death by 2 men earlier this week. British officials say it was an act of terrorism. 2 suspects were wounded by police. They are in custody. Today, the soldier's family talked about their loss.
He was a devoted father. It wasn't Jack. And we'll both miss him terribly.
British officials are worried that incident could spark copycats.
Both runways at Europe's busiest airport, London's Heathrow, are open again after being shut down when a British Airways jet made an emergency landing. In the video, you can see smoke streaming from the right engine. It happened shortly after takeoff and the plane turned around. Heathrow officials say the plane landed safely. Passengers and crew used evacuation slides to get off that plane.
5 months of gut-wrenching testimony, hours of deliberations in the jury in the Jodi Arias murder trial ultimately could not reach an agreement on her punishment. They're trying to figure out if they would sentence that 32-year-old to life in prison or execution for killing her boyfriend, Travis Alexander. The foreman said it was Arias who did herself in, testifying on the stand day after day after day.
I think 18 days hurt her. I think she was not a good witness. She was on the stand for so long. There were so many contradicting stories.
The county attorney says he will try this death penalty phase once again in about a month with a brand new jury.
Officials in Washington state say they know why a bridge on a major highway collapsed last night, sending some cars right into the water.
Now, they say an oversized truck that was too tall for that bridge slammed into it, causing that collapse. ABC's Denise Whitaker has more.
It was a sudden and clean break that rerouted I-5 straight into the Skagit River.
We have vehicles in the water.
4 lanes of interstate highway plunged 120 feet, tossing 2 cars and 3 people into the frigid waters below.
I hit the brakes, the weight of the trailer and everything else, and we went right off with the bridge.
Caught in a cage of mangled steel beams, victims climbed onto the roofs of their cars. Dan Sly, who suffered a dislocated shoulder, scrambled to save his wife.
Unbuckled her, pulled her into my side, which had less water because it was filling up about belly deep inside the truck, and managed to get the driver's side door somewhat open.
Helicopters and power boats raced to the scene to rescue the survivors. After an overnight search, authorities said they were relieved no one died.
We are very happy that it appears that there have not been fatalities this evening.
Police say a semi-truck with an oversized load struck one of the bridge's beams, possibly triggering the collapse. But the age and design of the bridge could also be factors.
It's an older bridge that it's in need of constant maintenance and repair.
1 in 9 American bridges is rated structurally deficient. This latest accident, a reminder of the nation's crumbling infrastructure. A team of investigators from the National Transportation Safety Board will be arriving on scene to launch a full investigation into what happened. The state, meanwhile, has to figure out a way to rebuild this bridge. Denise Whitaker for ABC News in Burlington, Washington.
For some here in Connecticut, that bridge collapse out in Washington is all too familiar. Next month will mark the 30th anniversary of the Mianus River Bridge collapse in Greenwich. That happened June 28, 1983. Several drivers were killed when a bridge gave way on 95. 3 people badly hurt. Officials say a pin on the bridge failed and caused that collapse. State police investigating an officer-involved shooting in Ridgefield tonight. It's a developing story we're following. This happened around 5 o'clock. Ridgefield police officers responded to that scene after they were confronted by a male subject in the yard. The male was armed with a handgun. Officers attempted to order the subject to put his weapon down.
The man refused to comply with orders. He raised the gun toward the officers, causing a Ridgefield officer to shoot him. The suspect died later at a hospital. No names are being released at this time. More at 11. The Jersey Shore is officially back in business today. It's coming back to life this weekend following Superstorm Sandy. The boardwalk in Seaside, New Jersey is reopening for the first time in 7 months. Guinness World Record says a ribbon cutting to mark the reopening has set a new world record. The ribbon stretched for more than 5.5 miles. Officials say 85% of the boardwalk's business will be open for business on Memorial Day weekend.
We said it'd be done by Memorial Day weekend, and it's going to be done.
President Obama will travel to New Jersey next week to check on the state's recovery efforts.
Eric Martinez here. A holiday weekend is here.
And it's going to be cold.
Half and half, though, right?
Half and half. You know, what we do have is this cold front. So my concern more is that we have these gusts that could kick up to 40 miles per hour tonight. And in fact, I did increase those wind gusts for tomorrow as well. We have really cold temperatures, only topping out in the 50s, and then some more rain. I also did add the threat of some thunderstorms overnight for tonight into tomorrow. Okay. All right, but it'll improve by Sunday. You're right. So let's take a look at our local radar. We have plenty of clouds out there, and you can actually see the movement of this system from the the southwest towards the northeast, and I will highlight that for you on our regional image. Otherwise, right now it is rainy in New London, and that's going to be the story at least until the first half of your Sunday. Current temperatures across the state, we're seeing lots of 40s out there. 45 in Salisbury, Simsbury, 48, 51 in Deep River, North Stonington, a little bit warmer at 54 degrees. And our wind gusts, again, I do have some concerns for this through the overnight hours and for tomorrow, and that's because that cold front will shake things up and kick up those wind speeds. So we have anywhere between 22 and 25 mile per hour wind gusts for tonight, and I do think they're going to get a little bit faster, in fact. Now, the holiday weekend, I have 66 on Sunday, 73 on Monday, with decreasing clouds just in time for your Memorial Day. So barbecue weather, I'd say do not go ahead and cancel that. And we do have a mostly sunny and dry Memorial Day. So headlines include cold front keeps us chilly, very chilly, in fact, for our Saturday. Widespread rain, and then we do have everything clearing by the first half of your Sunday. So some showers lingering until about 1 p.m. on Sunday, and then there will be an improvement, I promise. So here's a look at that cold front making its way towards the northeast. You can see some activity there just to the northwest, but you can actually start to see the rotation of that low as the system continues to work its way across Connecticut. My concern for tonight would be those gusts again and the threat of isolated thunderstorms, especially likely for northern Connecticut. So we're going to finally bottom out those overnight lows, 46 degrees and 50 for the shoreline. So I do have the threat of some thunderstorms between the hours of 2 a.m. and 5 a.m. with those northerlies up to 40 miles per hour as that system continues to rotate out of Connecticut. So our microcast showing all of that rain moving forward there. So not much of an improvement by midnight, and then tomorrow seeing more rain by 7 a.m. So I do think it'll be a little bit more moderate to heavy to start your Saturday. And then by tomorrow evening, tomorrow night, we'll see a little bit of a break there. But folks, you can still see some rain in the forecast there, the darker green denoting the more moderate to heavy downpours. So your out the door forecast on Saturday, keeping plenty of clouds out there with some rain as well, and only seeing 52 degrees by your lunchtime, 49 by 5 p.m. So my concern isn't so much about the rain. It really is, again, the gusts and how chilly it will be. So keep those jackets handy. Today we topped out at a mere 68 degrees below the average of 74, and it's only going to get chillier by tomorrow. 55, that's the high along the shoreline. And then again, an improvement by Sunday. We have clouds that will start to decrease by the second half of your Sunday. Mostly sunny skies on Monday, just in time for your Memorial Day. Tuesday, we have partly cloudy skies, and then we have increasing clouds on Wednesday. We do have the threat of some showers there and warmer to end the following work week. So unfortunately, this weekend is half and half good, half bad. But you know what, folks? We do need that rain, so much of an improvement there. I think we're now at about a 2.5-inch deficit, so improved for this weekend. And of course, you can always log on to WXEdge.com for all of your weather updates. So you know what? The good news is we did make a dent in that rainfall deficit. It's so important that, you know, we don't suffer from a drought, of course, this summer.
Yeah, that's the good news.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks so
Erica,
much. Well, they are here, the cicadas, that is. They've started to emerge in the ground in Connecticut.
They did, and we're going to show a lot more of them are coming, too. We'll show you when we come back here in just a minute. Millions of them are coming, and tonight the first of the 17-year cicadas are emerging from the ground here in Connecticut. They've been spotted coming out in North Branford and some other spots around the state. Those black and red bugs have been lurking under the ground since 1996. Over the next few weeks, they will emerge, mate, lay eggs, and die.
They're giant bugs. Most bugs in Connecticut are little. Science teacher at East State.
Cicadas are harmless. They don't bite or sting, but their chirping will be loud once the weather gets a little warmer.
And after they're gone, another 17 years of peace and quiet.
Yeah, until they come back.
Yeah, we'll be back to wrap it up in a moment.
Erica's got one more look at the weather.
Okay, so unfortunately not the best start to the Memorial Day weekend, kicking it off in the mid-50s on Saturday, a gusty day as well, overcast skies, adding the threat of isolated thunderstorms overnight tonight into tomorrow, improving for the second half of your Sunday, but still keeping it chilly, below average. And then on Memorial Day, we do have mostly sunny skies, a little bit of a chilly start, but then we're going to see some 70s, right about average for this time of the year. Sam's going to be in bright and early tomorrow morning with your extended forecast. Of course, what to expect for your Memorial Day, I'd say keep the barbecues going.
For Monday.
For Monday, yes.
Erica, thanks.
All right, thanks so much. And in sports?
You know, we just watched the Yankee game. We saw Curtis Granderson get hit by a pitch. We're going to have an update on his condition, and if you're a Yankee fan, it's not great. It's coming up next.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. All right, that'll do it tonight for News 8 at 10.
Take it away, Noah.
All right, let's do it.
Live, this is Sports Team 8 Tonight.
All right, so the Yankees win tonight, beat Tampa, but not all of it's good news. They lose a player who had just come back from an injury. Curtis Granderson just back from a fractured forearm. Tonight he gets hit by a pitch in the hand, and now he has a fractured pinky, or the knuckle above his pinky. Expected to miss 4 more weeks at least. For now, the Yanks can focus on this. Brett Gardner, a 2-run homer in the 4th inning, That gives New York a 5-0 lead. David Phelps later in the game pitched well, but had to leave in the 8th. He gets drilled by a line drive. X-rays come back on that negative. The Yankees win at 9-4, but like I say, it's not all good news. Red Sox are beating Cleveland. Sox broadcaster Don Orsillo and former Sox manager Terry Francona saying hello in the dugout before the game. Look, it was all in good fun. Old friends. No score in the second inning. Mike Karp takes Justin Masterson deep to right field. It's a 3-run homer. And so right now, it's 8-1, Sox leading in the 8th inning. Well, the Mets fit to be tied against Atlanta. Mets down 2-1 in the 4th. John Buck hits his 11th home run of the year. He had been in something of a drought, so that ties the game at 2. The game was tied at 3 in the 8th. Evan Gattis, with the bases loaded, knocks in 2 runs with the hit here off of Greg Burke, so that puts the Braves up 5-3. The Mets just tied the game on a wild pitch, so it's 5-5 in the 8th. Well, what a great comeback. The UConn baseball team in the Big East tournament was trailing South Florida 7-0. They were able to come back and win the game 8-7 late last night. So the Huskies have yet to lose in this double elimination tournament. And remember, they came in as the number 8 seed. So now they know that they're going to be back on the field tomorrow against Rutgers as Rutgers eliminates South Florida. Well, a big fight tonight for a New Haven boxer. Jimmy Williams wins again. His 4-round fight was stopped after 3 rounds via technical knockout, so Williams improves to 3-0. We have highlights of the fight coming up on Sports Edge at 11:15 over on News 8. Good news for the Central Connecticut State basketball team. Team's best player has decided not to leave. Guard Kyle Vanellis explored transferring, spoke to some other schools, but today he announces he's going to stay. He said the process taught him a good lesson, and now he's committed to regaining the trust of his coaches and his teammates. He averaged over 21 points a game for Central last year. That was just as a sophomore. Well, the Connecticut Sun opened the 2013 WNBA season tomorrow night at home against Bill Laimbeer and the New York Liberty. Lots of new players, a new coach this year in Uncasville, and Donovan taking over for Mike Tebow. The Sun will be without Asia Jones this year due to injury, but Donovan still likes what she has.
This team is great offensively. I love the tempo of this team, so there's no change in terms of that. Where I see us making the biggest strides maybe on the defensive side of the basketball. I'm really trying to be a better, solid, more solid defensive team.
All right, so tip-off tomorrow night against the Liberty is set for 7 o'clock, and the Sun are donating proceeds from ticket sales to disaster relief in Oklahoma. Coming up later tonight over on News 8, it's our expanded Sports Edge Friday night show. It's not your typical sports show. Ann Nyberg will join the sports team here to discuss the Sergio Garcia comments earlier this week. You know what he said to Tiger Woods, or of Tiger Woods, saying invite him over to his house and serve fried chicken. We'll get on our bikes and ride, so if you're considering cycling, we have some great tips for you. And what do you do if you want to play high school rugby but there's no team? Well, we show you what one Connecticut girl did. All this and more coming up on Sports Edge. And, of course, you can go to the website, sportsedge.com. And, by the way, we're also going to announce our winner of our golf rules contest. That's coming up on Sports Edge at 11:15. For now, it's going to do it for us here for Sports 8 tonight. We'll see you at 11.
Live, this is News 8 at 11.
Hi, everybody. I'm Darren Kramer.
I'm Aaron Logan. A man is dead after a police-involved shooting in Ridgefield.
Yeah, police were responding to a domestic call when it happened. News 8's Noelle Gardner live in Ridgefield tonight to show us what happened. Noelle?
Good evening to you. That man was shot and killed after threatening police with a gun. That man literally pointed the gun at police. They had no other choice than to shoot back. The scene is real active right now up the road from us. Police have been there for over 6 hours, including state police. Crime scene unit is there investigating this. I want to get you up to speed on what happened a little bit earlier today. This all happened around 5 o'clock. Emergency call happened around that time. Reports of a possible domestic incident in the 400 block of Ridgeberry Road. And according to state officials, Ridgefield police officers confronted a man in front of the residence. The suspect was armed with a handgun. Officers asked the man to put down his weapon, but he refused, pointing his gun at officers. In fear for their safety, an officer fired off his weapon, striking the suspect. EMS crews arrived on the scene, and I saw paramedics put the suspect on the stretcher and into the ambulance. He was taken to Danbury Hospital in critical condition and was pronounced dead shortly after. Now, the Ridgefield officer was not injured, but he was taken to the hospital as a precaution, and residents in the area tell me the owner